From unfiltered honesty to bold deflections, these stars have shut down reporters in ways. Let's kick things off with the one and only Kanye West. When asked if he was afraid of losing his audience, Kanye didn't hold back. He straight up said, "I'm only afraid of God. People told me my career would end, but I'm still here. Woke culture follows rules I'm not interested in." Now that's what we call fearless honesty.
Are you afraid of losing your audience? Yay.
I told you I'm only afraid of God. I'm only afraid of my daddy, God. I done been 15 years. I'm telling you, God is showing that you can have your own thoughts, bro. I've been canceled before there was cancel culture. Who told you that my career would be over? The same people that are telling you that you can't have a right to say who you will vote for?
Next up, we've got Lil Wayne. Now, this one caused some serious backlash. In a Fox Sports interview, Lil Wayne was asked about racism in America and dropped this bombshell: "I've never dealt with racism." And when people called him out on it, he fired back, "Don't come at me with that dumb ... My life matters."
Where are we in the United States of America in race relations and what you see from day to day in your life?
I have never, and never is a strong word, never dealt with racism, and I'm glad I didn't have to.
There was a lot of backlash from people about that. Would you change it, what you said, or you still feel the same?
Don't come at me with that dumb man. My life matters.
UFC champion Strickland isn't afraid to speak his mind either. During a press conference, a reporter tried to push a politically charged question, and Strickland didn't just answer it, he shut it down. "You're an infection. You represent weakness. The world's not buying what you're selling," he said.
You are an infection. You are the definition of weakness. Everything that is wrong with the world is because of. And the best thing is the world's not buying it. The world's not buying your you're peddling.
He called out the agenda behind the question, and the internet was buzzing for days after that moment. And UFC president Dana White, he wasn't about to let anyone control what his fighters can say. When asked about how much freedom UFC fighters have with their words, he responded, "I don't tell people what to believe or say. Free speech, brother."
You obviously give a long leash to your fighters about, what they can say when they are up there with a UFC microphone.
I don't give anybody a leash.
Well, I'm saying you...
A leash?
I'm like...
Free speech. That's ridiculous to say I give somebody a leash. Free speech, brother.
Tim Allen also took on the topic of political correctness in comedy. "This thought police thing is alarming," he said. "As long as you understand my intent, words shouldn't be policed." He believes comedy should have the freedom to be provocative as long as the intent is clear.
What I got to do sometimes is explain, which I hate in big arenas, that this is a thought police thing and I do not like it. But when I use these words, this is my intent behind those words.
Yeah. Wow.
So as long as you understand my intent, I still get people, "But just don't say it." I do use some provocative words, but I tell them it's words that really got from my parents.
Yeah.
They said this stuff, and we talked about it. I can't even say it here. I can't even point to it.
Yeah.
It is an alarming thing for comedians.
Allen's message? Stop policing comedians for their words. Let's keep it real and embrace comedy's ability to challenge ideas and spark conversations. Kurt Russell gave an interesting take when asked about gun control during a movie press tour. He made a distinction between fantasy and reality, saying, "Fantasy is what we create in movies. Reality is much different. Let's not confuse the two."
Recently, you made some headlines for saying that you felt gun control laws wouldn't deter terrorists. Explain to folks.
My personal feeling is that there's a big difference between Fantasyland and reality. Fantasyland is what we do. You're either writing something, writing a song, writing a book, doing a movie, doing a television show. That's Fantasyland. And that's where that stuff belongs. In reality, when we're dealing with things like terrorism and whatnot, we're all going to have different opinions on how to do it and how to deal with it.
Russell's response was perfect for someone caught in the middle of a loaded question during a press tour. He knew exactly how to address it without getting caught up in an agenda. Ronda Rousey has always been unapologetic about what she deserves. When asked about the gender pay gap in sports, she replied, "I'm the highest paid fighter because I bring in the highest numbers."
Is it frustrating for you as someone who's so prominent in your sport? And we heard you say on the Ellen show the other day you are the richest fighter in UFC, that sort of thing is still going on?
I think that how much you get paid should have something to do with how much money you bring in. I'm the highest paid fighter, not because Dina and Lorenzo wanted to do something nice for the ladies. They do it because I bring in the highest numbers. They do it because I make them the most money. And I think that the money that they make should be proportionate to the money that they bring in.
Pay should reflect the revenue you bring in, regardless of gender. Simple, but powerful. Matthew McConaughey always knows how to handle a tricky question with grace. When asked if he could get elected as governor of Texas despite being anti-gun, McConaughey deflected it brilliantly. In politics, I'm not interested in playing games. I focus on where I can be most useful.
Do you think you could get elected in Texas being anti-gun?
Do I think I could get elected in Texas being anti-gun? One thing about if me in politics is to give you a direct statement right there is playing a game that I'm not interested in playing. To give you a direct statement right there.
McConaughey keeps it cool, calm, and collected, leaving the reporter with no choice but to move on. Bill Burr took a bold stand against gender quotas in comedy. When asked about whether women could be funny, he shot back, "Of course, write your own stuff, start your own show, stop whining. We're all eating a giant ... sandwich out here. Nobody cares."
Can women be funny?
Yeah, of course.
Some people have a hard time saying yes, though. There's a lot of angry young men on the internet that are like, women can't be funny.
Will you guys just grow up and just sit down and write your own and come up with it? Start your own show, have your own award show. Quit waiting around for other people to do for you. That's the problem. If you guys had your own big club and I was standing outside of it, you'd never let me in. I'd start my own. You guys got to start your own. You got brains in there, right?
Yes, absolutely.
So write your own and quit your fucking whining. We're all eating a giant sandwich out here. Nobody cares. I don't care.
Let's talk about the legendary Morgan Freeman. In a jaw-dropping 60 Minutes interview, Freeman said, "Black history is American history." He went on to argue that the solution to racism is simple. Stop talking about race. I'm going to stop calling you a white man, and I ask you to stop calling me a black man.
I don't want a Black History Month. Black history is American history.
How are we going to get rid of racism?
Stop talking about it. I'm going to stop calling you a white man.
Yeah.
And I'm going to ask you to stop calling me a black man.
Freeman's wisdom left everyone speechless. He made it clear that to end racism, we need to stop focusing on race. Denzel Washington has always been calm under pressure. When asked about race relations, he explained, "Race relationships have to do with us talking to each other, learning about each other. You can't legislate love. It's up to us."
Have race relations improved?
You know, race relationships have to do with race relationships. You're white or whatever you are, I'm black or whatever I am. We're standing here talking now. That's how we get things done. You can't legislate love. The President of the United States can't legislate us into liking each other. We have to step forward and ask questions about each other and engage. There's no law that says, oh, because I'm president, you all got to get along now. So it's up to us.
Denzel's response was a perfect example of how to handle tough questions with wisdom and grace. Samuel L. Jackson took a very direct approach when questioned about the use of racial slurs in Django Unchained. The reporter hesitated to say the N-word, and Jackson called him out. "We're not going to have this conversation unless you say it."
There's been a lot of controversy surrounding the usage of the N-word in this movie, and
no, nobody, none. The word would be...
Oh, I don't want to say it.
Why not?
I don't like to say it.
Have you ever said it?
No, sir.
Try it.
I don't like to say it.
Try it.
Really? Seriously?
We're not gonna have this conversation unless you say it.
Jackson wasn't having it. He flipped the script and turned the conversation on the reporter in a way no one expected. And last but not least, Jerry Seinfeld. When asked about the lack of racial diversity on his show, Seinfeld responded, "Who cares? The only thing that matters is whether or not a comedian is funny. I have no interest in gender or race."
I have noticed that most of the guests are mostly white males of 22 episodes.
Yeah,
that you've
let's
had.
get into that.
No, but you.
Oh, this really pisses me off. But go ahead. Really pisses me off. People think it's the census or something. I mean, this has got to represent the actual pie chart of America. Who cares? It's just funny. You know, funny is the world that I live in. You're funny, I'm interested. You're not funny, I'm not interested.
Okay.
And I have no interest in gender or race or anything like that.
Seinfeld made it clear that talent is what matters most, and he's not about to cater to what others think is politically correct. It's all about the laughs. Which one stood out to you the most? Let us know in the comments below, and don't forget to like, subscribe, and hit that bell for more epic content.